If Africans, Francophone African countries, were to decide today that all French companies must get out of Africa, that all the monies that are going to France, estimated at hundreds of billions of dollars annually, if all that funding would stop going to France today, France will immediately become the third world country. And Africa no longer needs to be getting aid from anybody.
Our country is in danger because we are at risk of over-indebtedness. Our country is in danger because we are on the brink of over-indebtedness.
You deep, professional, and thought-provoking analysis on critical issues shaping the world and Africa's place within it. If you're new here, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more important updates and in-depth discussions like this one. Your engagement helps us grow and ensures that conversations like these reach more people across the globe. Breaking news has emerged from France. On the 25th of August 2025, the Prime Minister of France admitted that the country has plunged deeper into unsustainable levels of debt, sending shockwaves across Europe and beyond. France is now one of the most indebted nations in Europe, with a public debt soaring to about 3.35 trillion euros, approximately 114% of its GDP. Even more alarming, the annual interest burden alone is costing the country nearly 44.5 billion. To put that into perspective, this interest is almost equivalent to the annual budget of several African countries.
Because we are at risk of over-indebtedness. Our country is in danger because we are on the brink of over-indebtedness. Over the last 2 decades, despite the succession of governments with different tendencies, our country's debt has increased by 2,000 billion euros, 1,000 billion between 2005 and 2015, and 1,000 billion between 2015.
How does a nation often described as one of the leading powers of the West find itself trapped in such a cycle of borrowing and repayment? And more importantly, what does this reveal about the real state of French economic strength? Does this expose the fragility of its global dominance? Or could it simply be a temporary storm that France will eventually overcome? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments section. Do you see this as the beginning of France's economic decline, or just another hurdle in its long history? Observers are increasingly connecting France's current financial woes to its changing relationship with Africa. For decades, France maintained economic leverage through colonial and post-colonial networks, often benefiting from Africa's gold, uranium, and other critical resources. But since the Sahel region turned away from Paris and charted its own independent path, France has lost access to many of the natural resources it once relied upon to stabilize its economy. Analysts such as Dr. Ariana have warned for years that without Africa, France would begin to face the reality of becoming a struggling economy, if not a third world country.
If Africans, Francophone African countries, were to decide today that all French companies must get out of Africa, that all the monies that are going to France, estimated at hundreds of billions of dollars annually, if all that funding would stop going to France today, France will immediately become the third world country. And Africa no longer needs to be getting aid from anybody. If you look at the billions of dollars France is getting out of Africa every year, and then the fraction that they give back to Africa in the name of aid, out of what I like to call loot. They loot from us at night, and during the day they come back and give us a pittance of the loot in the name of aid.
Today, as France cries out under the crushing weight of debt, could this be evidence that such predictions were not exaggerated? Could it be that Africa's resistance to exploitation is finally forcing former colonial powers to face economic realities at home? What does it mean for the global balance of power if France, a permanent member of the UN Security Council, becomes increasingly vulnerable and unstable? We want to hear your perspective in the comments. Do you believe France can rebuild itself with...
I know that we Africans, right, France is our best friend, right? In court, France is going into bankruptcy. France is broke. As I'm talking to you now, they are indebted to the tune of $3.8 trillion. A debt they cannot be able to pay. And in fact, based on estimate, every second France get indebted to the tune of $6,000. That's on daily basis. They are indebted to the tune of $518,400,000 every single day. And in fact, even their prime minister say that they are in mortal danger because it looks like they are not going to recover from this debt. And they are making some measures, including reducing their holidays and doing some austerity programs to see that they reduce the debt burden. Do you know why France is broke? Because they lost BurkinaFaso. The gold mine is gone. They lost Mali. The gold mine and the bauxite is gone. They lost Niger. No longer access to uranium that they used to enrich to deliver power to Europe, and they get it for free, cheaply. So most of the losses they've incurred in Africa is actually what is pushing them into bankruptcy. As it was declared by Jacques Chirac, the former president of France, he said that if France lost their African colonies, they are likely going to be the third world country. Are we witnessing the backsliding of France to the third world country? But here is what I think is going to happen. France is going to get very desperate, and they are going to continue to empower their asset in Africa, especially the terrorists, to continue to wreak havoc in other countries where they seem to be friendly, especially the Anglophone countries, because the Anglophones have no history of French colonial destruction, and most of them seem to be friendly with them, especially countries like Nigeria. We seem to accept so many development aid from France. We're opening our doors to France, and this is very, very risky. Now that they are desperate, they are going into bankruptcy, they are being heavily indebted. How sure are we that they are not going to recover this debt by scavenging on our countries? So our policymakers need to be extremely careful in dealing with a mortal France that is going into serious
To make matters worse,
bankruptcy.
the International Monetary Fund has warned that unless stronger corrective measures are taken, France's deficit could remain dangerously high, hovering around 6% over the medium term. This is not just a technical number. It reflects a government consistently spending more than it earns, unable to control its finances in the way expected of a so-called advanced economy. What happens when a government cannot rein in its deficit? Does it continue borrowing recklessly, leaving future generations to shoulder the weight of today's mismanagement? Or does it impose harsh austerity measures, cutting social services and welfare programs that millions of citizens depend upon? Imagine waking up in a country where your government admits it cannot balance its books. How would that make you feel? Should France prioritize reducing debt, even if it means sacrificing its social protections? Or should it protect its people first, even if it worsens its financial crisis? Drop your thoughts below. The broader picture suggests something deeper. France is facing a crisis of credibility. For years, it positioned itself as a pillar of Western economic power, but its reliance on external resources, particularly from Africa, has now been laid bare. As France's financial distress grows, so too does the possibility of losing influence not only in Africa, but on the global stage. Could this be a turning point where former colonial powers begin to experience the same vulnerability they once imposed on others? And does this open up opportunities for Africa and other emerging regions to strengthen their independence and bargaining power? The very foundations of international politics may be shifting before our eyes. As we reflect on these developments, the critical question becomes, what lesson should other nations learn from France's predicament? Is it a warning about the dangers of overdependence, exploitation, and unsustainable borrowing? Or is it a reminder that no matter how powerful a country may appear, economic mismanagement eventually catches up with everyone? France's cry for help today could serve as a wake-up call for the rest of the world. In conclusion, France's surging debt and ballooning deficit expose a nation at the crossroads of decline and survival. The end of its unchecked exploitation in Africa has revealed an economy more fragile than its image suggests. This moment challenges us to rethink narratives of power, dependency, and resilience. As France stares down this crisis, the world is watching closely. Will it adapt to this new reality or continue sinking under the weight of its own contradictions? We invite you to share your thoughts respectfully in the comment section. Do you believe France is truly on the path toward becoming a third world economy? Or do you think it will find a way out of this financial storm? Your opinions matter, and they help drive the important discussions this channel was created for. If you enjoyed this analysis, we encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to VoxAfricaNews channel for more thought-provoking reports. You can also support our work by joining our channel membership or sending us a super thanks. Your contributions help us continue bringing you professional and independent analysis. Disclaimer: this video is based on publicly available reports, expert opinions, and media coverage. It is intended for informational and educational purposes only. Vox Africa News channel does not endorse or promote hate speech, misinformation, or discrimination of any kind. Viewers are encouraged to engage respectfully and verify information through multiple credible sources.